Have you ever thought Arizona was just desert, sunsets, and the Grand Canyon? Think again, because hidden deep in the law books of the Grand Canyon state are some of the strangest, most specific, and downright bizarre laws you'll ever hear. Laws that sound like they came out of a comedy sketch but are rooted in real statutes, local ordinances, or historic events from a century ago. In this video, we're uncovering laws that range from you can't let a donkey nap in a bathtub to you might have to pay for a rescue if you drive into a flood. Some of these are still enforceable today. Some are relics of history, and a few are barely believed even by people who live here. But all of them tell a fascinating story about Arizona's past and present. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see Arizona in a whole new light. Let's start with the one that gets people every time. It is illegal in parts of Arizona for a donkey to sleep in a bathtub. Yes, a sleeping donkey can technically land you in legal trouble here. This famous oddity dates back to the 1920s, when a rancher's donkey took a nap in an old bathtub during a sudden flood. The tub and the donkey were carried almost a mile downstream, triggering a costly rescue and prompting local officials to pass a very specific ordinance banning donkeys in bathtubs after dark. It sounds absurd, a law seemingly made just to stop napping donkeys, but it actually reveals something deeper about how local councils responded to real events back then. It's a perfect example of how a very specific problem led to a very specific law. Next up, spitting. What seems like common sense to most people actually became officially illegal in many Arizona cities. In places like Goodyear, spitting on public sidewalks, crosswalks, or in public parks and buildings can get you fined, and in some cases, even jailed. This isn't just about manners. It was a public health measure designed to keep germs off surfaces where people walk, eat, and gather. Interestingly, these laws vary city by city, meaning you might be breaking one in one town but not in the next. A reminder that local ordinances can be as strange as state statutes. Here's a law that sounds like somebody's joke but is historic. Arizona law historically made it illegal to hunt camels. Why camels? Because in the mid-1800s, the U.S. Army experimented with using camels as pack animals in the desert Southwest, including Arizona. When that experiment fizzled, the animals were released into the wild, and at some point, the state decided to protect them from being hunted. So even though you almost certainly won't run into a wild camel today, the idea that such a law exists illustrates how historic oddities can leave lasting footprints in modern legal codes. Then again, it makes for a great trivia fact. Don't worry, you can't shoot the camels here. That's illegal. Now for something a little more agricultural. In Arizona, if you want to feed garbage to pigs, and by this we mean commercial pigs, not your backyard pet, you need a permit. This isn't just a humorous rule. It's part of state agricultural law meant to keep food animals healthy and prevent unsanitary feeding practices. The law specifies that feeding garbage to swine without a permit is prohibited, though feeding only your own household scraps to pigs you raise for personal use is generally exempt. This law sounds strange until you realize it's tied to public health, food safety, and agricultural standards, yet it still makes for a delightful, weird law segment in any video. Arizona's iconic saguaro cactus isn't just a symbol of the Southwest. It's also protected by law. Under the Arizona native plant law, harming, digging up, or moving a saguaro without a permit can lead to serious penalties. These protections were created to preserve these slow-growing giants that take decades to reach maturity. This isn't a quirky rule like the bathtub donkey. It's a serious conservation law. But because people outside the region often find it surprising that a plant is so legally protected, it lands perfectly in a video about strange statutes. So the next time you snap a picture with a saguaro, just remember, scratching your name into it might cost you more than just embarrassment. One of the most surprisingly practical yet oddly named laws in Arizona is the so-called stupid motorist law. Here's how it works. If you drive around barricades into a flooded roadway, something that's way more common than you think during monsoon season, and your vehicle gets stuck and rescue is required, you are responsible for paying those rescue costs. This isn't a joke. In a state where flash floods can appear out of nowhere and turn a road into a river in minutes, this law was passed to prevent public funds from covering preventable rescues. Drivers who ignore warning signs and emergency barricades are held financially accountable for their choices. It's one of those laws that sound harsh, but when you understand the rationale, it makes sense. And it's a great hook for retention. Here's something arcade lovers might not expect. Interfering with the mechanics of a crane or claw machine in Arizona is illegal. According to state statute, if you knowingly rig, alter, or maintain a crane game so that the claw physically can't grasp prizes, that's unlawful. This was originally intended to protect consumers and keep amusement games fair, but it's become one of those laws that sounds absolutely bizarre when you first hear it. So the next time you see that big teddy bear just out of reach, rest assured Arizona law might have something to say about rigged claws. Arizona also has rules that show culture and identity influencing legislation. Regulations exist about how the US and Arizona state flag can be displayed and used. Defacing, marking, mutilating, or using flags improperly can be unlawful, a reflection of respect and tradition embedded in law. And in 1971, Arizona made the bolo tie its official state neckwear, a small but proud nod to Western culture. These laws aren't shocking in consequence, but they're fascinating from a cultural perspective, showing how even fashion and symbolism have official roles in a state's legal identity. Now let's talk about the wild part. Laws people swear are real but might actually be exaggerated, historic, or totally mythologized. One of the biggest is the idea that it's illegal to refuse someone a glass of water. This one gets shared everywhere, and while it sounds plausible in a state where dehydration can be deadly, law experts have found that no statewide statute actually says exactly that, despite the legend. There are similar rumors about old county laws limiting how many women can live in a house together, a relic of old zoning rules that was repealed long ago. Some myths even suggest you could be charged for wearing suspenders in certain towns. While these stories make great conversation, the legal foundation behind them is often shaky or based on very old local ordinances that aren't enforced anymore. But the fact that these rumors continue to circulate shows how much people love weird legal trivia, especially when it paints a vivid picture of a state's history. So what does all of this tell us? Arizona's laws are a blend of serious safety regulations, historic reactions to real problems, quirky municipal rules, and a few legends that have taken on a life of their own. From donkeys in bathtubs to drivers footing their own rescue bill, from cactus protection to crane game fairness, these statutes show how laws evolve from real events, local culture, and sometimes pure human ingenuity. Which Arizona law surprised you the most? Drop a comment below. If you think your state has weird laws that top these, I want to hear about them. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe,